Okay, so I'm at the theater to go see Dolphin Tale 2 when I notice that there's a movie called The Dropout, and I've never heard of it before. So I look it up on my phone, I see the star-studded cast, and that gave me a reason not to go see the Dolphins. Now, The Drop stars Tom Hardy, Noomi Rapace, and the late James Gandolfini, and this is his last film, so if you are a fan of his, you should definitely check out this movie simply because of that. Now, like I said in the intro, I had no idea what this movie was about going into it, and I was pleasantly surprised on how refreshing this whole concept of a drop bar is. It's basically where the mob will pick a bar at random in Brooklyn and launder money through it. So they'll come in, they'll drop $5 grand, the bartender will put it in a safe, and then at a later time, somebody else from the mob will come in and pick up the money, and that's how it exchanged hands. Now, the bar owner doesn't have a choice. They have to do this or the mob will probably kill them or burn down their bar or whatever. And the reason why they do this is because sketchy people go in and out of bars all the time, and the cops won't think anything of it. These bars have been established for years, and it's just a good way to exchange money instead of, you can't put dirty money in a bank account. So I thought this was a pretty cool concept. Tom Hardy plays the bartender at this drop bar, and his performance is near perfection. This guy is one hell of an actor. I mean, he is a character actor through and through. This guy puts on a massive, massive performance that carries this whole film. If it wasn't for Tom Hardy, this movie would just be a boring, steamy pile of shit with a decent concept. But this guy really brings this movie to life. I'm not going to say a whole lot about his character because it will spoil some things, and I really want you to go into this movie. If you haven't seen it already, you may have already seen it, but for those who didn't see it, I want you to go into this movie totally fresh, not knowing what to expect. This guy he blows it away. The only thing that's sort of iffy about his performance is his Brooklyn accent. I'm sure some people will razz on it a little bit. I could definitely hear it breaking here and there, but that is a very, very minor gripe. This guy fucking kills it. Now, there's this subplot where Hardy's character finds this little puppy beaten and left for dead in a trash can. Pretty sick. And he meets Noomi Rapace's character here, and she also has this psychotic ex-boyfriend that won't leave her alone, and then also starts to get on Hardy's back, and that's all I'll say about that. And this all builds up into the main plot later on in the film. This movie is a slow, slow burn. I mean, this movie moves at the speed of snail, but it is a beautifully done film. I guess that's the best way I can put it. If I have to make the analogy, it's like eating lobster. And for those who eat lobster and enjoy it like I do, it's a pain in the ass to get to the meat. You gotta use those clamps to break the shell. You gotta pry it open. You end up cutting yourself on it just for this little tiny piece of meat. But it tastes so good. And that's exactly what this film is. You have to wait so long to get a little piece, but when you get it, it's worth. So prepare your bodies for a long drawn out film. If you cannot get invested in these characters, or if I spoil things about these characters, you're just not going to enjoy that payoff. But I tell you, I sure as hell did. James Gandolfini's character runs this bar, and he finds himself in a really shitty situation when his bar gets robbed, and the money that's taken is the drop money from the mob. So when the mob comes back looking for their money and it's not there, he needs to repay that, needs to find a way to get this money back, or he's dead. He also used to be well respected and feared back in the day, but not so much anymore. The mob has come in, taken over the bar, telling him where to be, when to be there, how to do things. And he doesn't like that too much, but there's really not a whole lot he can do about it. And we've seen him play this character before. There's definitely a couple of extra character traits that this character has that we haven't seen him play in the past. But this is what we love to see him in. He does a fantastic job in this film, and it really is a shame that we lost him at such a young age. Overall, this movie was a good time. The writing was great. I was invested in these characters. The dialogue seemed very realistic. It wasn't over the top. Hardy's performance was just epic. There's Leonardo DiCaprio, Denzel Washington for me, and then Tom Hardy is working his way up this ladder. I mean, I am just, as you can tell, I'm just blown away by his performance. There's definitely some problems in this movie. For some, it may be way too slow. I can definitely see it. If you are not invested in these characters or you're not paying attention, you're probably not going to like this movie very much, but it worked for me. I also would have liked to have seen the mob used a little bit more in this film as well. Maybe add a little bit of more action scenes or something like that, just to kind of spice it up in parts that did drag on a little bit. But overall, I'm going to give this a pretty good score. I'm going to say this is a holy sweet tits movie. So what did you guys think about this? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you going to go check this out? Sorry that this is such a late review. I know that this came out a week ago, but honestly, I didn't know it existed. So here it is now, and I will be going to see Equalizer, The Maze Runner, and a bunch of other movies that are coming out. So stay tuned for those reviews. If you're enjoying this, hit that like button, subscribe, and of course, stay Bouse.